Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new episode of my F1 2018 Career Mode 2 in 2 days for you guys. This time we are here for the Monaco Grand Prix. But if you guys did miss yesterday's episode, it was the Spanish Grand Prix at Catalonia, and I do recommend checking that one out before coming back to this video because it was a very good and very tasty race, and one where the threat of tyre temperatures was very, very prominent. And if you want to see how I got on, then do watch the episode. But nonetheless, we arrive here at Monaco, and I want to say before we jump into it, a massive thank you guys for those of you that did watch the last episode. The support has been absolutely incredible in that video. I think as we stand at over 200 likes and not a single dislike, and I really appreciate you guys for that and the support on the career mode return. But nonetheless, let's get back to business here, and we are here at Monaco, and as you saw on the background of the screen there, we have rain expected for the race on Sunday, so very tricky scenario. However, it's going to be a good thing in a way because it's going to give us the opportunity to basically already know what the weather's going to be like, so we can be very aggressive in qualifying on tyre strategy, and also setup wise we can set up the car for the wet. And also, the more important factor, tyre temperatures won't be a massive factor in this race because it being a wet race, the tyres won't heat up as much as in the dry. So a couple of positive signs, and you can see in the R&D chart there, Renault, joint top with Ferrari, Sauber really closing the gap, and also McLaren now jumping up to being the 5th best team right behind us. And there's definitely a bit of a split happening now with the top 3 teams being Ferrari, Renault, and also Sauber, and then there's a bit of a gap to Mercedes and the rest of the pack. So yeah, pretty much it's looking pretty interesting at the minute going into this race weekend here at Monaco. We're going to go for qualifying now. Straight off the bat, you can see in the top right my FPS counter, and I think this contributed to me having some screen freezes and general frame issues in this session because I kept on getting screen freezes and just general lag spikes, and I think it's because it wasn't recording properly because normally you don't see that thing in the top right. So I'm going to put it down to that, and hopefully that's the root cause of it. But I had a lot of inconsistency this session with FPS performance, and it kind of ruined most of my laps in some way, shape or form. So yeah, bear that in mind as we go for 4 laps or 4 runs in this qualifying session. Because the lap around Monaco is so short, in a short qualifying session you can get 4 runs in. So we go out first on the slowest tyre available, which is the Ultra Soft. We go P2 there behind Marcus Ericsson, and then we're going to now start transitioning over to the Hyper Soft tyres and really starting to set those big lap times. You can see there a very scruffy end to my second attempt, and then into the Rascas as well, running a little bit too deep, and then again through the final corner, again that apex beautifully, and ultimately ending the lap on a high. We're currently on for a big improvement here, and we jump all the way up into the top 4 along with Lewis Hamilton there, and a big jump performance wise as we now move on to our 3rd run on another set of Hypersoft tyres here. And sector 1, I absolutely bossed it in this particular lap. I was so happy with it, and I was hoping to carry that momentum along for the rest of the lap, and it was going pretty well up until towards the final sector where I had a couple of lag spikes, and just generally I kind of ruined it a bit. As you can see there, got the chicane a little bit wrong, just tapped the wall there, but still not too bad. We're keeping it together quite nicely, and now through the final corner I do turn in way too late and I miss my apex, and ultimately don't get as close to the wall as last time. The lap was a little bit more scruffy as well through the Nouvelle chicane, and we go 4,000 shy of Sebastian Vettel there for 2nd place. But now we're going to run on board for a whole lap of the Monaco circuit because I currently was on my 4th lap and my 4th run, but then I realised to myself, right, okay, this lap hasn't been a good improvement. However, there is enough fuel and ERS for another lap, so I went around for another one because obviously we're not going to start the race in these tyres, so we're going to absolutely go for it and see what happens here. 30 seconds on the clock, and let's see if we can try and get those couple of thousandths to really get 1st place here. Meanwhile, Raikkonen has gone P1 also in the meantime, so we're currently P3. Sector 1 there, we tapped the wall on the exit, but it's still a very strong 1st sector, and really hooking up nicely there as we now go down towards the Lowe's hairpin. 1st gear action, really rotating the front end, clipping the inside curb, and then really taking a nice chunk out of that inside curb there through the right, now going through Portier. Important to get a good exit here to really dictate your straight line speed along the back stretch. We're currently just inside a 10th on our previous best, so we're down slightly, but we can make it up here as we go very late on the brakes into the Nouvelle chicane. 3rd gear, using that to really carry the speed through as we get a good exit and go up on the delta, now carrying the speed through to back, flat out through here, through the chicane, and it's all about momentum and car confidence, really carrying the speed. Absolutely beautiful, little love tap there with the wall, but no harm done as we get it all slowed down for the Rascas. Perfectly done, no lockups at all, and this time the final corner a little bit closer to the apex, and crucially we get a better exit and we improve here by a 10th or so. We do go P1, but then momentarily you saw the purple flash up. We went fastest, but then we dropped down to P3, and this is because unfortunately the timing glitch struck again for the first time in a few races, because look at the time Hülkenberg has set, and also Hamilton as well. They set a ridiculous lap time, and look at that, Van Dorn's P4, Gasly's P5, Perez there as well, and The original final qualifying order should have been myself, Raikkonen and Vettel 1, 2, 3, yet all these other cars have actually put themselves in and around us because of the timing glitch. So pretty much that came out of nowhere, and it's really mixed up the grid for the race tomorrow as we start from the second row. Hülkenberg is going to get a very nice grid slot in that very fast Renault car, which is joint fastest with Ferrari. So that's going to be the main threat tomorrow, and pretty much that is your grid for the Monaco Grand Prix. So let's see what happens. It's going to be a very, very wet race, full wet conditions to start off the Grand Prix. So let's see how it goes. And with that being said, it's time for the Monaco Grand Prix, and more importantly, it's time for the race.
Great qualifying session for you. Are you going to carry that momentum into the race? You didn't practice much this weekend. Are you saving your car for the race? Great. Well, that's everything.
A proper road race, and in the true meaning of the word. That was how Mr. Monaco, the late great Graham Hill, once described this iconic event. The cars we drive have come a long way in the intervening half century, but still we race on those same public roads beside the Mediterranean Sea. There's no victory more coveted than that of the Monaco Grand Prix. We already see the lowest average speeds of the season here at the Circuit de Monaco, and they'll be even lower in the difficult conditions today. 19 corners make up this famous 2-mile track, and with the rain, it'll be even harder than usual to get that critical heat into the tyres. Don't be surprised if we see a safety car at some point during the Grand Prix. Anthony Davidson joins me again for the race today. Let's talk about Ferrari. We have a number of changes to the aerodynamic regulations this year, and the signs haven't looked good for them so far in terms of getting to grips with those changes.
There are a few downcast looks within the team this weekend. I think they've been hit fairly hard by the new regs. But this is only the first step down a long road of development, and even if they don't maximise their points today, there are plenty more up for grabs this season.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Great work from Nico Hülkenberg yesterday sees him start on pole, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Martinez, Van Dorn, Pierre Gasly and Pérez, Raikkonen, Vettel, Ericsson and Charles Leclerc, Sainz, Ricciardo, Max Verstappen and Hartley, Alonso, Stroll, Esteban Ocon and Roman Grosjean. Magnussen and Sergei Sirotkin rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Right then, here we go. It's race day for Monaco. It's the big one, and as you can see, the conditions are absolutely horrific. We saw that before on the monitor at the start of the video, and that prediction has come true, and the rain is really coming down here, cats and dogs at Monaco. We do start from P3 though, should have been P1, but you know what, I'll take it. Not too bad, all things considered, and the timing glitch, really affected the Ferraris more than anything. They went down, I think, down to rows 3 and 4. So yeah, we got a pretty decent rub of the green and got a little bit lucky, so we're only starting from the second row of the grid, which is not too bad, and I think we can definitely do something from here. Monaco, there's not much to say. I love this track so much, and it's so enjoyable when you've got a good car, good setup, which is exactly the case this weekend. We've got a really nice setup on the car, and we're going to run you guys through it now. So as you can see on screen, we're going to jump in, and we've got the 611 wings. We also have the transmission. Then we have the geometry, full right, full left, as always. Suspension, you can see on screen, there you go. Pretty conservative values for this track due to tyre temperatures. And then we have the brakes, as you can see. These are normally custom depending on your preference. And then we have the tyre temperatures. And finally, the weight distribution of the ballast on level number 8. So you guys can take that for yourselves. In terms of the race strategy, though, you can see on screen, it's maybe possible to do this race without stopping at all, potentially. Looking at the tyre life graph, you might be able to do the entire race in one set of tyres. Having said that, though, a pit stop is going to be necessary, I think, at least just to play it safe. Fuel-wise, though, is going to be the real key factor here. Recommended, I started the race with 42 laps of fuel in the car, and I've taken 6 laps of fuel out of it, so we are 3 laps negative on fuel. but this track is such a fuel-saving track in the wet. You really use the high gears, and there's no real need to really have fuel in the car. And the lighter you are, the better you're going to be on tyres, and the faster and more nimble you're going to be. Finally, though, you can see in the weather, right towards the end of the race, it looks like it's going to dry out a little bit, so there might be an outside chance of intermediates towards the end of the Grand Prix. But with that being said, we're going to stick to a one-stopper here with wets onto another set of full wets and try and get to the end of the race. With that being said, though, let's jump into it and let's see how this race goes. It's time for the Monaco Grand Prix. Right, here we go. Let's get ready for the 5 red lights here at the Principality for the Monaco Grand Prix. Lights out, very quick lights. Kind of got caught off guard there. It's a good start, though, to respond to our slow reaction to the 5 lights. Hülkenberg holds on to his lead. Hamilton holds on to P2. Van Dorn behind. A little bit of a pile-up behind. I can see the minimap there. Everyone dropping back. But all in all, a decent start. We've not lost many places, so let's get that engine sorted out. Turn down the ERS deployment to medium. Don't really need a hot lap for this race, especially in these conditions. You can see the spray is absolutely horrific. Running the Storm mod for increased spray density. But we're going to see how this race pans out, because on paper, Hülkenberg has the car in the package to actually excel and win. The Renault pretty much joint fastest car with the Ferrari in the R&D chart. So really the challenge here is going to get past Lewis, because he kind of came out of nowhere after qualifying with that glitch. He shouldn't have been that high up, so I want to try and get past my teammate if possible. But for now, we just need to try and get used to these conditions first. Driving in the wet, I'm trying to just get the feelers out and see where the track is, see where my confidence level is, and then we will be able to eventually start pushing and mounting a challenge as we just clout that wall there slightly, getting away with end plate damage as I kind of hit it side on. But we definitely need to be careful. I want to try and see what the track conditions are like. It definitely doesn't feel very nice. As to be said, I'm going to knock the brake bias down to 52. But hopefully we can try and find that rhythm around here, and then we can start really pushing after these guys. The little brake bias tweak has made all the difference now. Starting to feel confident around this racetrack. Starting to close up to Lewis here. Just got a lot more late braking capacity, and I'm able to push the braking zones a lot more, so we're starting to put the pressure on Lewis here. Hopefully we can start lining him up for an overtake. Hülkenberg also just starting to open up a little bit of a gap here, so we need to start looking at making this overtake on my teammate. Fast up at the Grand Prix from me there. Only man in the 123s it seems at the moment, faster than Hülkenberg as well. So that brake adjustment making all the difference, as we've also left Van Dorn behind. So here we go. Let's start making a challenge and put some pressure on the 4-time, which is in real life 5-time world champion here. Decent traction out the final corner here. So I've got the edge on Lewis when it comes to traction out of exits in certain areas, which is good to know. This race is all going to come down to rear tyre management. If you cannot wear out your rears too much, you're going to be in a good position this race. So that's why it's important to have that rear traction around here, especially for overtaking purposes. This is going to be a very long, I'm going to really cook up this overtake, let it brew a little bit, and see exactly where the best place to do it is, as Lewis gets a little bit wide there. Definitely struggling. You can see Lewis here all over the place at the moment, but this traction zone isn't the one. I can tell already that Lewis is very strong out of there, so otherwise that would be a good overtaking opportunity. First track extension warning there. Got to be careful with that. I'm trying to see if I can lean on the fronts a little bit, take a little bit of stress out of the rears. Changing up my driving style. I'm so good on the brakes into that chicane. So it's just a shame I can't get the traction on Lewis out of the exit of Portier. Otherwise, I would have passed him by now through there. I can tell already the rears are going a little bit. Car's definitely a lot more loose on the rear end. At the moment, Lewis has weathered the early storm and my tyres were in prime condition. I'm not really sure now when I'm going to pass him. Can't really see it happening. The rears are getting a little bit hot, so I need to just calm down the aggression on the rears. I'm going to just back off Lewis a little bit. No need to really try and follow him. We're not going to get overtaken by anyone anytime soon, I don't think, so I can just relax and try and get those rears under control a little bit, and then I'll try and charge again. Not really a fan of that alternate strategy, to be honest. I'll undercut Lewis much nearer to the time, because the undercut is going to be the one here. Dare I say, if I'm looking at an undercut, I need to look at undercutting Hülkenberg as well and getting them both. The only problem is around this track, as we know, is traffic. So that automatically makes the overcut a much more suitable option. Purple final sector there. Didn't really mean to, but it definitely feels like the tyres have come back to me a little bit. I'm starting to close up to Lewis again, so we're going to try and have another stab at it, see if we can make something happen. This is a good traction zone, but this is the one, the final corner. If I can just get close like I did earlier on, then I might have a chance. Strong first sector here, again very close. I'm going to close that gap even more through this section, but then it's just that little straight. I know for a fact I'm so good on the brakes into the Nouvelle chicane. It's just this traction zone here where the AI are so strong and I can't get anywhere near enough, and then combine that with how fast they are on the straight, and it's a recipe for me to be able to overtake. You can see how much later I'm on the brakes, and I get it slowed down so easily. If I was alongside a car, that would be job done. Risking a bit hot again, trying to push after Lewis, and it's not really working, so I'm going to have to take some time out. I think now I'm going to try and drive smooth, and I'm going to start preparing this undercut, because it's not going to happen on track, I'm afraid. My scheduled pit stop lap is around lap 19:20, so either go for the undercut or go for the overcut. It's kind of decision time now as to which one I commit to. Looking at the mini-map, you can see there is a massive train of cars being led by a Red Bull, so I think that Red Bull might have front wing damage. So an undercut is looking like the best option here. And that's going to happen soon. I just need to look at my tyre wear and kind of run the numbers in my head, because it's going to be a hell of a lot of laps we're going to be doing in one set of tyres, that's for sure. Here's a good example on the mini-map. You can see how far the next car is, so we should be okay to come in and not get jumped. So I'm going to start cooking up this undercut. I'm going to probably come in, I'd say, lap 16 or 17, one of those two. Weather report.
This rain could be with us for a while. Light rain conditions for the foreseeable future. Inters and wets will probably have similar pace at the moment.
I had to ask on the radio because it does look like the track is kind of drying out a little bit. The spray's become less, I've just kind of realised now. And I am wondering if an intermediate could do the job. I guess we'll wait and see what the AR do, but right now, this is an interesting period of the race. Right, I've selected the inters because we're now in light rain conditions, so it's not going to get any worse than this. And I reckon the intermediate could do a job. So, screw the undercut. Let's pay attention to the weather now, because this could be a big factor. Also going to put the brake bias back towards the front because my rears are locking a little bit too much, which is also a sign of tyre wear combined with track conditions, which are becoming less moist, let's say. And I can manage front locking better than rear locking.
Check your MFD for a new strategy option.
Okay, Hülkenberg comes in. Hülkenberg's in for inters, and we've just been offered on the radio a strategy switch, which is normally the telltale sign
Copy that.
that it's ready for inters. So Hülkenberg has pulled this one off beautifully, absolutely beautifully here. And now we're in trouble here. We're cooking our rears, and we might have to stack with Lewis. So this is a very interesting part of the race now. Hülkenberg has absolutely nailed it.
Available on the MFD.
Right, will Lewis come in? Yes, he does. So we're going to stay out. Not going to stack because that'd be too much time lost. Let's try and push. Even though the tyres are hot, I'm going to try and have a strong lap here if I can. Okay, only a 10th off. The first lap of the Grand Prix in my PB, although we are getting out of shape now with these rears. Track is definitely intermediates now, but still a strong in lap nonetheless, considering the tyre temperatures. Let's get it all slowed down. There we go. A bit of a scruffy pit entry, has to be said. Not the best one. Clipping the inside wall, but here we go. There we go. Great stop, 2.2. Van Dorn comes in along with Gasly. They're not going to hold me up, which is good. There goes Hülkenberg. Have we done anything against Hamilton? I don't think we have. There you go, 22.2. That's the kind of pace right now. And Hamilton's well clear. So we're going to have to do it on track, unless there's another inter stint, which is likely. I don't think going to the end on these is possible. It's going to be very close. It's going to be especially close for someone like Hülkenberg. So you never know. This isn't over until it's over. Hopefully, though, we've got a good pace on these as well. There you go. Personal best on my out lap. So looking good so far. I'm trying to run hot lap ERS, and I'm trying to see if I can take a risk and keep it in hot lap ERS mode, and basically be a little bit more careful with my traction inputs and see if I can balance the two out, and that way find more pace. But we are definitely fast on these tyres. I can tell already we are very fast on these. Lewis with a 21.9, but look at this, a 20.4, 1.5 quicker than my own teammate. We are really fast in these conditions, even faster than the wet. This might be my best chance to pass Lewis here if I can maintain my rear tyres and keep this pace up. Oof, that was close. Jesus, very close. Second brush of the wall this race. Right, well, we're back on to being right behind Lewis, more like. Very strong lap once again. Another fastest lap. Super consistent pace. And I'm definitely able to manage this hot lap ERS mode as we hit the wall for a third time there. Really pushing our luck at the minute. There we go, this time getting the line sorted out, using the gears. Let's try and set up Lewis for an overtake. I want to try and get this one done nice and early, while the tyres are still very fresh. We are so close to Lewis now, the closest I've ever been through this section. Oh, a little bit deep into there, messed up my line. Let's try and stay in close proximity though. Stay nice and tidy through there. Come on. This is the one. Good traction. Here we go. Going to try and make it happen here. Oh, not quite. Lewis closes the door, but we are still going to commit through though. Lewis doesn't quite slow it down for the apex. He outbrakes himself, and we force the move, and we are passed into second place. Great stuff there. Finally, after 23 laps, we find a breakthrough, and now we chased after Nico Hülkenberg. Purple middle and final sector there, pretty much matching the fastest lap. 2.2 second gap to Lewis already. And we are in hot pursuit of Nico Hülkenberg. The race is on here, we can win this. Another incredible lap here. A 20.0. Should have been a 19, really. I threw some time away in the final sector, but we are really fast around here. And I'm able to hold hot lap ERS all the way through. You can see fuel-wise, we are well on target at the minute. Saved loads of fuel, and we've still got plenty of laps left, so we're going to be quite over, I think, on fuel coming into the race. Either way, we are absolutely putting on a show around this circuit. Gap to Nico, 2.4. Also, bear in mind, Nico's tyres are a couple of laps older than mine, so he might be just struggling a bit more coming into the race compared to me. So another good thing to, worth noting. Gap now inside 2 seconds. Pressure's on. It's showtime, folks. Looks like Gasly's gone off and he's retired from the race in the Toro Rosso as we set a purple first sector. 10th and a half up. Still setting strong pace here. I will say Hülkenberg did respond on that last lap and set a pretty damn good lap of his own, but I think we've still got the edge on the Renault man. There we go, fast lap of the Grand Prix. Good pace once again. Still can't get into a 119, but it's not the end of the world. We're starting to really put the pressure on Nico Hülkenberg now. Also, the fuel saving has gone down a little bit in terms of we're not as efficient as we were in the wet, obviously, because we're running the revs a lot higher and we're actually driving faster now. So fuel economy wise, we're actually going to be pretty much, I'd say, on target. So we've actually absolutely nailed it on fuel consumption. Unlike in the last race where I said I was a little bit heavy, this time we've absolutely got it spot on. Right then, we're finally within range. Let's see what our traction's like on intermediates compared to the full wets. Through the final corner, power down, and we're literally bumping the Renault. But you can see that Renault's actually a bit faster on the straight than obviously my own car, Lewis, and the Mercedes. Hülkenberg though getting out of shape through turn 1. That's going to put him on the back foot here as we go up the hill. Can we have a go at Nico here? I was going to have a look around the outside, but no real grip there. Hülkenberg getting loose through turn 1, feeling the pressure slightly. Oh, almost hit my front wing end plate there, but we have to sit behind Nico for now. But the pressure's on. Ooh, very close through here. Out of the Nouvelle chicane. Look how close we are now going into the back. Just going to pretty much push Hülkenberg through this section. Carry the speed through the swimming pool chicane. Number 2. There we go. Very tidy. A little bit of a wall hit there, but we are extremely close to Nico. I'm going to try and come off the throttle a bit and try and get a bit of a run up on him. Come on. That Renault just pulls away on the straight, man. Hülkenberg holds on for now. Very nice run through there. Carrying the momentum. Through Raskas. I can maybe dive it into the final corner. You never know. There we go. Good traction. This is the one. Come on. Show them the long way around. Down the inside. Hülkenberg locks up. There we go. Mistake made. We finally forced Nico into the mistake. We just managed to squeeze our car alongside on the straight. Little pocket of space there. And we made it work. And we've taken first place in the Monaco Grand Prix with 8 laps to go. There you go. That's what we're talking about. And we've got traffic coming up soon. So the timing was impeccable on that. Track really starting to dry up now. The spray's becoming pretty thin. Apparently the track's going to dry out in 5 to 10 minutes time. So we're kind of scrambling for grip here. Also, it's worth noting, I've just realised, Hülkenberg obviously splitting us, but it's a shame we couldn't make it to Mercedes 1-2. However, it's still a Mercedes 1-3, and Lewis is leading the championship. The Ferraris are nowhere to be seen. I am 6th in the championship, but with 25 points added to my name, it's going to be a big points haul for us here today. Probably going to re-overtake Ferrari in the Constructors, and also it's going to mean big things for the Drivers' Championship for both myself and Lewis. Car's working beautifully at the minute. There we go, into the 119s finally. And also fuel-wise, we are finally back on target. So it's worked out beautifully this race. Now we've just got to bring this car to the finish. I've just selected the Ultra Softs in case we need to come in. Also, I'm now going to run medium ERS. We've got the gap to Hülkenberg. We've got first place, so we can now turn down the engine and focus on saving the power unit. So job done here today, and now we just wait to see if there's going to be one more sting in the tail with the weather conditions. Oh, okay, DRS enabled. That's an interesting sign, because that's normally a telltale sign for dry tyres. But we're going to stay out, obviously, because we've got track position, and unless Hülkenberg comes in, I'm not going to respond. Looks like Hülkenberg stays out, so we're going to do the same thing. Grip level's getting very thin now on these tyres. We're definitely struggling. The track is pretty much dry now and is ready for dry tyres, but we're just trying to nurse this home on inters, seeing as no one else is coming in for the dry tyres. Hülkenberg really starting to catch me up now in these conditions. He's got a lot more pace than me, but I'm pretty much nursing everything, to be honest, and I'm trying to make sure I don't overheat my tyres, which is the critical factor when it comes to these tyres on a dry track. So I'm trying to basically just nurse my tyres to the end and not cook them, because then we're going to be in big trouble. Also, we've got some lap traffic, which I was hoping to not catch, and it's worked out pretty much that way. I've come off the pace a little bit, and I've timed it so that we catch them on this lap. So if I keep my distance, no one should move out of the way. We can just bring this one home safely. Final few corners now. Just make sure we just make no mistakes. I'm on 2 track extends, so one more and I'll get a penalty. So again, important to not risk it as we hit the back of the train. Hülkenberg on the back of me here. Going to focus on my exit through the final corner. DRS enabled. There we go, up to the line. And we are going to come through to win the Monaco Grand Prix. Yes, what a performance. Absolutely beautiful. Textbook drive around the Principality, and one of my best races of the season.
Mercedes then are on top today.
Right, so looking at the final race results, we win the Monaco Grand Prix ahead of Nico Hülkenberg and Lewis Hamilton. Stoffel Vandoorne brings home a P4 finish, and then Sergio Pérez P5 ahead of both of the Ferraris of Raikkonen and Sebastian Vettel. Then further back we've got Daniel Ricciardo, Carlos Sainz and finally Marcus Ericsson rounding off the top 10 finishers. Then Max Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, Esteban Ocon, Kevin Magnussen, Lance Stroll, Charles Leclerc, Brendan Hartley, Sergei Sorokin and Roman Grosjean finish off the 19 runners, with Pierre Gasly the only retirement of the Grand Prix. In terms of the driver standings though, after that race you can see that we take a big jump into 4th place, 24 points off the top, which is Lewis Hamilton who leads the way, 9 points over Kimi Raikkonen, and you can pretty much see already it's Ferrari versus Mercedes with a possible outsider in the form of Renault. And then finally in terms of the constructors, you can see we overtake Ferrari for first place once again, 6 points clear of the red team, and Renault in third, not too far behind and also Sauber as well as a possible outsider. But all in all, that is it for Monaco, guys, and we're now going to move into the laptop and get some upgrades on this Mercedes car for the next race. So let's do that.
How are you feeling after that win? Another podium. You must be getting used to it up there. Well, looks like your luck has changed. Things went a lot better than last weekend, didn't they? Your team must be ecstatic with how you're performing. Appreciate your time.
Right, so here we are then on the R&D tree. We have 2,200 points to spend, thanks to a nice little bonus. So as you can see, we're currently the 4th best team in the R&D tree, so we're going to try and get some improvements on the car. So straight away, as we delve in, obviously we're going into the European season now, and we've got tracks like Canada, Paul Ricard, Austria, Silverstone, generally speaking power tracks. But if we look at the respective charts, we're second on the engine. We are quite a way down in the aero. We are 5th in the aero, so that's quite bad. And then in the chassis, we're all the way down to last, which is terrible. So I think chassis work is going to be the order of the day. And looking at the different options here and looking at the time of which they're going to take to arrive in terms of upgrades, I think we need to look at some weight reduction on the front nose cone structure. And that's going to take 4 weeks to arrive, so that's going to arrive pretty much for when we need it. So we're going to get that on the car, and that should arrive in 4 weeks' time for the British Grand Prix, my home race. So fingers crossed that comes through. And then we're going to save the remaining points for some upgrades in the next episode. But if you guys did enjoy this episode of Career Mode, then please do drop a like on the video. Also, do get subscribed, guys, for daily Formula 1 content, and turn notifications to not miss a single upload from me. And finally, check out these 2 videos on your screen if you have missed them. But other than that, thank you for watching, guys, this video. I'll see you in my next one very soon. But until then, it's goodbye from me.